Tessa L. Kelso strolled about the streets, her hair short, wearing no hat, smoking cigarettes, and never hesitated to express her opinion. Tessa grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and in 1889, at age 25, moved to Los Angeles, California. She had slim qualifications for a head librarian, only that she was a voracious reader as a child, and she had covered the 1886 Milwaukee ALA conference for an Ohio newsweekly. But Kelso convinced the mayoral library board that her management acumen, and eye for skilled staff, made her a better candidate than would a cataloger. She proved them right. Under her leadership, the Los Angeles Public Library blossomed from 130 paid members accessing a few thousand volumes to a nationally esteemed institution with 20,000 cardholders whose innovations are now standard fare. Within a few months of her arrival, Tessa hired Adelaide Hassey, creator of the Sudoc system, orchestrated a move from a cramped room above the dry goods store to the brand new City Hall Library building. In 1891, she established the first public library-based training class in the country, which allowed her to expand her staff from 2 to 23. She helmed book groups and salons and directed library services for the public school system. She dedicated a room to reference and special collections, including government documents and sources on California history, and offered clipping services to local businesses. She advocated opening stacks to patrons, preferring rebinding or replacing over restricting. She welcomed to the library the whole of Los Angeles by eliminating fees, lending technical manuals, art books, games, sheet music, and foreign language materials, and celebrating fiction and magazine readers when other librarians scoffed. But the progressive policies that put her in the limelight also made her a target for the increasingly conservative political tide, led by the Los Angeles Herald editorial board. This came to a head in August 1894, when a Herald investigation discovered a copy of Jean-Henri Chopin's salacious French novel Le Cadet on the open shelves and riled up local clergy to denounce the library leadership. One adamant objector was Reverend Dr. J.W. Campbell of the First Methodist Episcopal Church. The Sunday after the discovery, Campbell gave a rousing sermon on the matter and offered a public prayer for Tessa's soul.
O Lord, vouchsafe thy saving grace to the librarian of the Los Angeles City Library, and cleanse her from all sin, and make her worthy of her love.
1 week later, Tessa sued Campbell for slander and $5,000 in damages, alleging that the prayer amounted to an impeachment of her moral character and unworthy of her appointment as head librarian, as she managed a large number of female subordinates and served young female visitors to the library. An unblemished moral character was an indispensable job qualification and key to her livelihood. She claimed that when a person is prayed for, the congregation understands it to be a charge made against the character of the prayed to, and because she was not a member of Reverend Campbell's congregation, nor affiliated with his denomination, she should not be subject to its discipline. Further, she was not a French scholar and was not empowered to exercise censorship as to what French volumes the book committee admitted to the collection. However, she had always been zealous and painstaking in the endeavors not to acquire improper books and to remove books found unworthy. That December 1894, after Tessa's tenacity was guaranteed, Reverend Campbell filed a demurrer, which conceded the truth of her claims, but averred that supplications from the pulpit are privileged speech, exempt from lawsuit. At this point, the issue was no longer local to Tessa and Reverend Campbell, but a case testing the boundaries of religious speech on the radar of an international audience. Following April 2, 1895, Superior Judge W.H. Clark overruled Reverend Campbell's demurrer.
Slander can, of course, be perpetrated in the form of a prayer as readily as in any other form of speech, and no communication made by parson, minister, or priest to his congregation is privileged merely because of such relation, unless, perhaps, when made in discharge of his pastoral duties, and with respect to one who is subject to the discipline of the church, and not then unless made without malice.
The case itself, however, would never see its day in court. On March 30th, the newly elected mayor replaced Tessa's library supporters with opponents. At its first meeting, the day after the ruling, the board voted to elect a new head librarian, much to Tessa's astonishment. She resigned immediately, as did First Assistant Adelaide Hassey, but realizing the library had no viable replacement, the board implored her to reconsider. The next week, however, the board was less gracious, and, as a mean-spirited tactic, announced it would cut Tessa's and Adelaide's salary. At this point, the two librarians quit for good, along with Estelle Haynes. Tessa would never return to the reference desk. She moved to New York, joined Baker and Taylor as a school and library liaison, and settled into a vibrant career in publishing, journalism, and social reform. Tessa L. Kelso died at age 69 on August 23, 1933, in Santa Barbara, California, after a lifetime of change-making and troublemaking and never heeding a shh.